Your journey can only begin when the self-doubts stop. The first step is harnessing your bravery within. Believing in you is your host, Sean G. Morris.
Hello and good day to you all. My name is Sean, and I'd like to thank you for tuning in to another weight loss episode of Bravery Within. Thanks so much for tuning in. You guys are amazing. I cannot say that enough. I know you guys probably hear it all the time, but it's genuine. It comes from the heart. Honest to God. I am speaking from my heart saying thank you so much for tuning into my podcast. It's gotten bigger than I ever thought it would ever get, and it's kind of like, okay, well, it's time to bring an end to season 1. So this is actually going to be the final episode of season 1, and that'll give me some time there to dig in and do some more learning about my own weight loss journey. It'll allow me to focus on my weight loss journey, and more than likely it's going to come out, season 2 will come out after the holidays, which is a couple months away, but it's going to give me some time there to focus a little bit more on my own weight loss journey. It's tough enough to get through the holidays, as I talked about in one of my other episodes and stuff there, called Here Comes the Holidays. And it's at a point, there's 35 episodes in this first season, so I think that's a pretty good run at it for my very first podcast. I was kind of overwhelmed with how many episodes that I've been able to come up with. And if you factor in all of them that I have from all 5 series, right now there's almost 80 episodes for you guys to listen to. So that should keep you going while I'm taking a little bit of a break. Now my other series, they're going to continue on. It's just the weight loss one I'm going to take a break from because I need to focus on my own weight loss journey a little bit more. I've been doing real good, but trying to get through the holiday is tough enough, as I explained in my episode. So I wanted to make sure that, I don't run into problems. I'm still going to work on new episodes and have them ready to go for the beginning of the year, but I'm going to take a couple months off there from the weight loss series. And so if you still want to hear from me and you still want to, tune into the podcast, there's still going to be plenty of content on my other episodes, and maybe I'll come up with another one while I'm on break. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm doing so much more with this podcast than I ever planned to. It's really quite shocked me. So if there's something you want me to talk about in season 2 for the weight loss series, starting next year, please get a hold of me. Email me at seangmorris@gmail.com. That would be fantastic to continue to hear from you guys. If there's something that you want me to cover, I will dig into it. Maybe it's something I've gone through, or maybe it's not, but I will do all I can to try to get you those answers. You're welcome to contact me through my Facebook page, just Sean G. Morris, and get a hold of me that way if you want to. So all I can say is thank you so much for tuning in to all 35 episodes of the weight loss series. You guys are amazing and wonderful. So I just wanted to make sure I covered that there and let you guys know how important you are to me. You're my extended family, and thank you so much for tuning in. So now that I let you know that this is the final episode of season 1, I'm going to get started on episode 35, which is called Ignore the Haters. And I've actually had some people get a hold of me and talk to me, and they know me, personally and stuff, so then they'll talk to me and ask questions and things. And some of the questions always seem to revolve around people that make those basically fat shaming comments. And I have to admit, those are probably some of the worst things that I've ever had and went through in my entire life. When you get fat shamed, it's bad enough that our morale is already low enough, but to take those comments on, it really, really hurts. And I know you're probably thinking, Sean, we've covered this to some degree in other episodes, and you're right. But one thing that I wanted to do is I wanted a whole episode dedicated to this because I think it's very important. This alone, fat shaming alone, can actually derail your entire weight loss journey, and that's the last thing that I want to happen. So what I wanted to try to do is talk about this in a little bit more detail to give you some more support. So if you do run into this, which if you're anything like me, I was getting fat shamed on a daily basis. It just never ended. And I got to a point where you get immune to it, I guess, after a while. And my son Alex there would bring up and make comments when we walked through the stores about how I would get, dirty looks, or he would hear certain comments. And I just flat out told him, I said, that's just normal. I said, when you're fat like me, that's just what happens. It just, I don't know why people got to do it, but they do. And they automatically assume that, us fat people, we have no self-discipline or impulse control, and which could not be further from the truth. The vast majority of us are very, very careful with what we eat and how much we put in. The problem is we're dealing with so much, and I'm not saying that the other, the skinny people out there or anybody else isn't going through a lot. We're all going through a lot. Right now, to be very honest, it really kind of stinks out in the world right now, because it's just like every time you turn around, this is going up, or that's getting more expensive, or how am I going to afford this, or how am I going to come up with enough money to pay the power bill this month? There's so many things. And then you worry about, okay, well, I'm on my weight loss journey, so then I'm supposed to buy this extra food and this better food and everything else. And it's like, I can't even afford ramen at this point, and it's like, how am I going to afford all this extra stuff? So all this stress is along there, and then you add on the fat shaming, and there's a lot of people out there, you can also say body shaming right along with the same one too. And that there is actually a difference between body shaming and fat shaming, and we'll cover that in just a minute here. But what I wanted to do was, I wanted to, the very first and foremost thing, I want you as my family out there that's going through your own weight loss journey, I want you to know that I am 100% behind you. I think you're fantastic for going down this road, for starting. Even if you head down the road and you derail, fall off, and you start again, it doesn't matter. You're still showing forward progress, and I'm still 100% proud of you. I think you're amazing for going through your own weight loss journey. And like I said, I'm in month 22 of my own weight loss journey. I know the pains that you're going through, the ups, the downs, sometimes it feels like there's more downs than there ever is up. But what I wanted you to do is always know that I'm behind you 100%. I'm always in your corner. I'm always rooting for you. I know you're going to make it to the finish line like I am. I know I'm going to get to my weight loss goals. And yes, there are days it's tough. It's miserable. I'm not saying anything else. So making sure that you've got, a solid, support system in place to help you through all of this stuff is probably one of the best things that you could actually have for your weight loss journey. But when it comes down to fat shaming, I encountered it for probably 3 decades. And there wasn't anything that really I hadn't heard, but sometimes somebody would come up with something new. Or the thing that always shocked me is how many people went out of their way to fat shame you, to say some sort of rude comment. And it was like, really? You're going to walk all the way across the store just to make a rude comment to me? You don't even know me. But there actually was a lot of people that did that, and it broke my heart, because it's like, the human race has so much potential. Absolutely. We could go so far once we set our minds to it. If we could just come together and forget seeing color and forget seeing race and forget all that stuff and come together as one race, it's amazing. We could accomplish such great things. No doubt about it. There's not a single doubt in my mind that we couldn't, the moon, that would be a walk in the park. We're talking other galaxies. We're talking about clearing up hunger. We're, taking care of all of our animals. So there's no more animal abuse and all this stuff. There's so much possibility there. And we have it. But to get through that point, there's we got a lot of growing pains yet, let's be honest, that we've got to get through. And unfortunately, for us bigger people, we've got to endure fat shaming, or some of you have to endure body shaming. And really the difference between that, and you're probably thinking, Sean, okay, isn't that the same thing? Not really. Body shaming can target any physical thing on your body. It could be your nose, your fingers, your feet, your hands, your knees. I couldn't tell you how many people say, oh, I have such ugly feet, or I have ugly knees, or I have ugly calves or ears, or that's body shaming. Fat shaming criticizes weight, your shape, your eating habits, basically your overall size. And that's where fat shaming comes in. And that's what I endured most of the time. But what I didn't realize when all this was happening, and before I started down my own weight loss journey and started making changes to my own mental state, that I didn't realize how much fat shaming I did to myself. And you don't realize it until you start paying attention to it. You start making rude comments to yourself. It's like, it could be something as simple as, good God, you ate that double cheeseburger? What are you, a fatty? It could be just anything like that. And it could be just in your head. but you're still doing fat shaming to yourself. And I didn't realize when I first started out how much of that I did, how much negative self-talk I was doing. And that was one of the first things that I had to clean up, was the negative self-talk just to myself. Because when you're going, let's be honest, if you've been overweight for a long time, like what I was overweight for over 3 decades, almost 3.5 decades. And when you get to that point, the fat shaming becomes standard place. It's kind of like an old leather jacket that you've wore for years. It's broken in, it feels comfortable. When you put it on, you just absolutely love it. Well, unfortunately, fat shaming does the same thing. You just get so accustomed to it that it just becomes like just every other day. It's no big deal. I couldn't tell you how many people did it to me, and half the time I didn't even notice it. I had gotten so numb and so used to it that you actually expect it. So when you go out in public, you're just automatically knowing, okay, well, what rude comments am I going to hear today? How is somebody going to tear me down today? I mean, my morale and my self-worth is already at all-time lows. Let's just see if we can take a shovel and pile some more onto it and go deeper in the hole. And when you're trying to lose weight, like what I am and like you are, there's already a big enough battle and an uphill battle on top of it all that you have to fight to make this happen. And it's like, holy cow, okay, why don't, then you get these people that are just dogging on you constantly. And sometimes they don't even realize they do it. They may be just poking a joke where they think they're just having fun, where it could be something as simple, they come up and grab your love handles and say, oh, wow, you got some love handles. And they leave it at that and they smile and you laugh because you've gotten so used to it. But really, that's fat shaming. I mean, when you really break it down, that's fat shaming. As much as everybody jokes about it. And if you're like me, I got to a point with the shaming that I actually got to the point I figured that if I shamed myself first, I took away their power. I took away any control, any negativity that they would throw at me by running myself in the ground first. And that's what I did constantly. I took the first pop shot at myself, just so that way, most of the time, honestly, it ended up being to where they didn't have anything else to say. It was kind of like, oh, okay, well, you already said it. Exactly. I would rather put myself down so you can't take more pop shots at me and make me feel worse about myself than I already do. And I got really, really good at it. I mean, I could put myself down better than anybody that could come up with anything that they said. I mean, it was extremely rare that somebody had a better put down comment than what I came up with myself. And that's not let's be honest, that's not healthy. That's not good for you. That's not anything. But that was my way of dealing with haters out there. That was my way of dealing with their rude and obnoxious comments that they were saying to me. Because it was bad enough that, and like I said before, I hid behind my fat. I mean, that's really what I did. Because I was so terrified about getting into a new relationship after my divorce. And then I had one girlfriend after that. And then that went south. It's like, I'm just not capable, apparently, of being in a relationship anymore. So what I did is I made sure, honest, this is if you had a Bible, I'd put my hand on it, swear it. This is honest to God truth. I got to a point where I wanted to put more weight on. I wanted to be fatter because people look at you that way. And I knew there was no chance in the world I was ever going to find my partner out there. And they didn't want to spend time with me because I was so fat they would be embarrassed to see me. Because anybody that I thought, there might have been a remote chance, they were the first ones to take pop shots at me. They would make some obnoxious comment and tear me down. So what I did was I learned. I basically used my fat as a camouflage. Because people get used to seeing fat people, and you automatically think, well, their house is probably filthy and dirty, and they don't clean, and they don't do their own laundry, and they probably don't even take a shower. They probably stink. And now there's some truth to that, but that's truth about any person. There's some people out there, they could be skinny, but they don't take showers, or they don't keep their house clean, or anything like that. It's not just about a fat person, but the problem is that stigma goes along with us big people. That's just what it is. So what I did is I learned early to hide behind it. And I really hid behind it after my divorce. And in fact, I know I put on probably an extra 75 or 100 pounds. That's how dedicated I was to hiding behind my fat. I figured if I had that, it was kind of like a deflector shield. And it was kind of like, you can't get to me. You can't hurt me anymore because my fat will protect me. And I know that sounds funny, but to me, that's how I seen it, and that's how I chose to live my life for many, many years. It's not healthy. It wasn't the best thing for me. And just because I've lost over 200 pounds, nobody's lining up to date me. Nobody wants to walk down the right beside me there and say, hey, yeah, that's my man. Nobody wants to do that. I haven't changed anything. But I'm not doing the weight loss for them anymore. I'm doing the weight loss for me. And I'm not doing it to try to be more appealing, I guess. What I'm doing it for is my health and my son and my family. That's what I'm doing it for. I mean, I got little Willow, like I always say, she's literally right by my feet under my desk here while I'm recording this. And that's why I do it, is for her. I do it for my son, Alex. I do it for, all my other family members and friends. I would mention names and stuff there, but they don't really want me saying their names, so I'll just, they're my family. And I'm in some ways, I guess I'm kind of embarrassed to say that I hid behind my fat, but I was terrified to even try to acknowledge that I liked someone. I mean, I couldn't even look in the mirror and like myself. I'll be honest. I mean, I looked in the mirror and go, ugh. I about threw up. It's like, okay, if I can't stand myself, nobody else is going to be able to stand me. So why put the effort into losing weight when I can hide behind it and use it as an excuse to not go back out there? So even though, like I said, I'm over 200 pounds down, and I've come a long ways. I mean, I'm down 5 pant sizes, 3 shirt sizes, and so much more. And I've gotten to, basically, I've met so many of my goals already, and then I've had to set new ones. That is like, okay, well, now what do I do? Now I'm back to being terrified again of what happens if somebody accidentally looks at me and is interested. And it's like, I don't know what to do, because I haven't been in a relationship in over a decade, well over a decade. And it's like, okay, well, maybe I got to get a book and start reading through is how to be in a relationship again. I mean, I worked hard to avoid them, but that's not healthy either, because you're all beautiful. You're all beautiful in your own way. You have warm, caring hearts. That's what I've tried to explain in all my podcasts, is you guys are amazing. You guys are strong. You are resilient. And just because you have a little extra weight on shouldn't take you out of the running for living. But when I was going through this, it took me out of the running. I literally hid behind my fat, because all the haters out there that would make those obnoxiously rude comments to me, I started to believe them. Even though that I didn't show that it bothered me, even though that it didn't look like it bothered me whatsoever, it did really bother me. It cut me to the core. I just refused to give them the gratification, knowing that they got to me. Even though that when I would go home, that I'd have 6 double cheeseburgers and 3 large fries and 6 different desserts, whatever I could get my hands on, because I was eating my feelings. It hurt. It broke my heart. And it was kind of like, okay, well, if that's the way people see me, then that's the way I should see me. And that's why every time I looked in the mirror, it's kind of like, bleh. Okay, perfect. If I can't stand myself, then I can hide behind my fat, and I don't have to worry about, basically trying to look good for anybody. I don't have to worry about trying to impress anybody, because everybody's already made their comments and they've already said what they think of me. So I actually started to use my fat to my advantage. And I would put myself down first before they could get a hold of me. I hid behind it so I didn't develop feelings for anybody, so I wouldn't get in a relationship. Whatever it was, I used it to my maximum advantage. The problem was I cut myself off from my feelings. That's not good anyway. So then I ran downhill there, so depression kicked in big time. And I just realized that, okay, well, if I'm never in a relationship, then I don't have to worry about impressing anybody. I don't have to worry about looking nice or trying or anything like that, because it's not like I said, I don't have anybody lining up to and knocking down the door to say, hey, you know what? I'd like to be your partner. Well, that just doesn't happen. It's never happened in my life. I don't have that. I'm not these great, beautiful models that can walk down the street and people just go crazy for them. I've never been that way. I never will be that way. And I figured if I was never going to be that way, then I'm going to hide behind my fat. And that's exactly what I did. But my health said otherwise. It just finally said, you know what? You can't do this anymore, Sean. You got to make some changes. We can't. The heart wasn't taking it. your other organs weren't taking it, your joints weren't taking it, your muscles were sick of hauling around that much weight, over 600 pounds worth of weight. And it was just like, okay, well, body, fine. You've won. Now I've got to figure out what I'm going to do. And that's why I said, as of January 1st, 2022, off the cliff I went, and I made the change, and I went all in. Now, it took probably about a year before the fat shaming went down. But it did go down, and I don't hear it quite as much anymore. The only thing that I'm hearing now is, would you buy some new clothes because they're way too big for you? And I have to admit, they're right. It's just clothes are very, very expensive. Things are very tough right now. And I'm trying to save my money for the holidays, to take care of my family, to get through another month worth of bills. I mean, there's just too many things. But I flat out know I have to buy some new clothes, and I need to. And that's kind of what I focus on when I take a break from the weight loss series. I'll be working on those things to try to, make things a little bit better for myself, and make sure that I keep myself on track and keep learning things myself, so that way I make sure that I stack the odds in my favor to be crossing that finish line to my ultimate goal of being where I want in size wise and weight wise. But to get there, I had to push through all the fat shaming and the body shaming. It was horrible. I mean, I honestly wouldn't have wished any of that on my most mortal enemy, because they don't realize, and some people do it and they don't realize they do it. They're not doing it to be mean. That's the part that's kind of, you don't want to say anything, because they're not being mean. They're just laughing. They're just having fun. And it has gotten normal in our society just to dog on somebody's physical attributes. But if you're somebody like me, that alone can destroy you. And I don't mean to say that in a bad way, because I'm a 6'3" man. You would take a look at me. I'm very strong. I'm a very bullheaded, very, very stubborn man, and you would think nothing bothers this guy. I mean, there's just absolutely, I don't know how anybody could get to like him, because he doesn't let anybody in, for the first part, and second of all, he's very strong. So it's like nothing would bother him. It's like he can handle anything. Well, you're right. I can handle anything. But at some point, even the strongest person on earth needs a respite. They need help. They need just a safe haven to go to. And that's where I'm afraid that a lot of you out there, my family and friends, I'm afraid you're at there. And that's why I wanted to do this episode, was you have a safe place here with me. You have a safe place on my Facebook page, because I do everything I can to take any negative comments off there, because I want you to be able to go to a place where you can feel comfortable. If you have questions, I am never going to make fun of you. I mean, you can send them to me, and I will do everything that I can to try and answer them as fast as I can, and honestly as I am. I want you to know this is a safe place to come to, because we all need that. This world is harsh enough. It's hard enough to get through. And then if you add being big like I am on top of it all, and then everybody just looks at you and like, ew, don't you know how to put down the fork? I mean, it's like, no, I have no idea. I just keep eating, because it's like, I don't understand when I'm full. I don't care anymore. It's just like, you get to a point where it's just like, fine, take your best pop shot at me, because it's just not going to get to me anymore, even though it does. Even though it hurts, you go home, you end up breaking down in tears, or you get, like me, sometimes I'd get so mad that I would go out to the shed with a hammer and break something, because you needed to vent that hurt, that anger, and all that stuff. And I'm not one to take it out on my friends and family. So I would rather suffer in silence and keep it to myself. So if that means I got to go outside and break a 2x4, then I break a 2x4, whatever it is, to get that negativity and that overall yuck out of your system, so you can try to make it through another day of the same thing. So one thing that I wanted to just absolutely, if you don't take anything else away from this podcast today, nothing else, know that I'm 100% behind you. I think you're remarkable. Don't let anybody else tell you anything different. I think you're strong, you're resilient, you are amazing for going down this road. Now, I don't care if you take 6 or 7 or 8 runs at losing weight. Just know that you're trying, you're making forward progress, and I'm proud of you. You're amazing. I mean, I know I use amazing a lot, because there's a lot of other words I could use, but I think amazing fits. And I love that word because it's so upbeat, and it's kind of like it's like I can push energy through this microphone that I'm talking into out to you. And I want you to know that, you know, I will always be here to listen if you need. If there's something that I can try to help with, just let me know. I want to try to help if I can. I want you to know you're not doing this alone. And that's one of the things that people always stress about is, you know, eating is a very social thing. You do it with your friends, you do it with your family, you eat all the time. But when you lose weight, it always seems like you do it alone. And it's like, well, hello, this is when I need the most support that I can get. It's like, don't leave me hanging. And I want you to know that's what I'm here for. That's what, you know, I have a wonderful support team that takes care of me, watches out for me, and helps me in every step of the way. And I take that energy that they give me and I send it out to you. I know it's just going through a microphone, but know that if you're listening to me in the car, I'm in the passenger seat cheering you on. If you're at home, I'm in the kitchen with pom-poms and everything else saying, yeah, good job, eat this, you're doing the right thing, keep going forward. If you're at the gym, well, don't expect me to walk on the treadmill, but know that I'll pump some iron with you. I'll do something like that. I'll be right beside you there, helping you all the way. That's what I'm trying to get through this podcast and through this microphone. I'm giving you every bit of energy and good thoughts that I can possibly send through the waves. And just know that you're not doing this alone. And that, to me, knowing that I don't take this journey alone, it's really, really helped me. It's helped me to ignore the haters. That's why I call this episode Ignore the Haters. Because you have to be strong anyway to lose weight. So then on top of it all, you have to take all this other stuff on mentally. And that I've covered the mental aspect of losing weight so many times, and I'm going to continue to cover it so many more times. Because to me, honestly, that is the battle I fight more than anything else on my weight loss journey, is how is my head, how is my mind going to fight me today? It's bad enough that my body itself is fighting back, saying, no, I don't want to do this. It's like stomping there like a little 2-year-old stomping their feet saying, no, I don't want to do this. No, you can't make me. That's exactly what my body feels like many, many, many times. And it's like, son of a gun. It's like, come on now, you're killing me here, Smalls. Can you knock this off? And I keep trying and I keep pushing. And I'm proud of myself because I push through that. Because you have that voice in the back of your head saying, rah, 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 eat that cookie. Rah, 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 eat that lemon meringue pie. Rah, 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 have that extra pop. I mean, there's so many different things that your mind is fighting you on. It's such an uphill battle. And it is, I mean, it is so tough. It's like, will you just work with me? And then you pile all these people that are making rude comments about you and snotty comments, and they go out of their way to insult you, and they don't even know you. And it's like, you don't even understand what we're going through. You don't realize how hard it is to be our size. You know, some of you have never been overweight in your life. You can't possibly appreciate what we're going through. But you could be a little sympathetic. You could be a little understanding to help us instead of tearing us down. And I have to admit, when I was young, I didn't know any different. I was skinny until I hit up to 15. When I hit 16 and I started at a fast food restaurant, I put on almost 200, like 150 or 200 pounds while working there for almost 5 years. And I remember back before I started putting on the weight, I would see people riding a bike, or they would be running out on the sidewalk, or they would be walking, and they were the bigger people. And I used to make fun of them the same way, saying, what's wrong with you? Can't you put the fork down? Can't you have any control, self-control? And I never realized until I started putting weight on how wrong I was for thinking of that. I was so embarrassed of myself when I realized you're not looking at this the right way, Sean. You need to look at this a different way. And the different way that it took me a while to figure out is I started supporting him. I started saying, go, I am proud of you. When I see somebody pushing hard out there on the street, they're walking along, they're on the sidewalk, wherever they're at, I'll go by and say, good job. I'll do whatever I can. Do anything to support them, saying, keep going. You got this. I'm proud of you. Keep moving. anything to support them and anything to encourage them. Because I didn't realize how mean I was being. Now, I never told him that, of course. It was all stuff that ran through my head. And on the rare occasion, I might say something to one of my friends, but I didn't realize how out of line I was. I didn't realize I was fat shaming. And it was like, what is wrong with you, Sean? Turn your brain on. But I was young and didn't know any different. But now, there's no way in the world I would ever say it. I see somebody out on a bike and I'm supporting them and I'm giving them a thumbs up or whatever I can do. There's been times where they'll come into the store and they'll get a water and they're just drenched in sweat because they're exhausted. I feel so bad for them. And they're only halfway there because they rode to the store to get something and then rode back. I bought them their water. I bought them whatever the snack it was, as long as it was a healthy one. I bought it for them to say, good job, I'm proud of you. Way to go, you're pushing through. Anything to support them and be there for them. Because I realized after going through 3 decades of being fat myself, I didn't realize how much of a mental game it really is. Yes, your body is, you have to do physical stuff to get the weight off. But the thing that I never truly appreciated was the mental fight that I've had to go through to get this far in my weight loss journey. And like I said, I'm 22 months into it. I don't want to break that record. I don't want to go the wrong way. It's kind of like how the alcoholics say, hey, I'm 1 week sober. I'm 1 month sober. I'm 6 months sober. They're amazing. Whoever come up with that, I'm so envious of it. I wish we had something that in our fat community saying, hey, I've been doing my weight loss journey now for a week. I've been doing my weight loss journey for a month, or I've been doing it for 2 months or 3 months or 6 months. Whatever it is to show support and be there for them, that's what I wish we had to, honest. And maybe there is in some, in some inner circle out there, because I know there's lots of groups and places and forums and stuff you can go to for support. No doubt about it. And maybe they have something like that. I just haven't heard of it. But to me, I think I would be so proud lugging around my 22-month coin, saying, I've been doing this for 22 months. I have been going the right way, and I deserve a little bit of an accolade. I'm not one to think highly of myself. I'll be the first one to admit it. That negative self-talk constantly gets me in trouble. I am a lot better at it than what I used to be, but let me tell you, I am still harder on myself than anybody else could ever dream of being in the world. You're not going to be able to put me down as well as I can put myself down. And I'm not saying that to be proud in any way. It's like, that's not something to be proud of. But what I've learned through all of it is we have to support each other. We have to be there for each other. And I just don't make the comments anymore. I mean, 'cause I've done a complete 180 about, hey, they're out there. They're trying to make a difference with their body. They're trying to make their health better. They're doing it for their family, their friends, whatever it is. Mainly, I hope they're doing it for themselves. Really, honestly, truly. That's the first thing you have to do, is you have to do this journey for yourself. It doesn't mean you have to do it by yourself, but you have to do it for yourself. You have to want the changes for yourself. And whatever the motivation is, if you want to fit into that little black skinny dress, or you want to get into those jeans you wore in high school, or that like me, that favorite jersey that I have that I haven't been able to wear in 10 years because I was too fat. There's just different reasons to do it, but I don't do it just for that reason. Those are great accolades. When you can get to those points, those are amazing. That's what you have to be celebrating, is look how far I've come. I mean, if you figure out like me, I mean, I've dropped 5 pant sizes. I'm working on my 6th one. And at one point, my fat pant, the biggest pants that I ever bought size-wise was a size 54. Now, they stretched in an additional size when I bought them because I got so tired of buying pants, and then 2 months later I had to buy new ones, so that I started getting the stretchy ones. And let's be honest, when you're big like me, all you want is comfort, because all the clothes, they're just miserable because they're designed to be very tight-fitting. They're designed for skinny people. They're not designed for us bigger people. And so I always made sure that I had the stretchy side ones, so that way when I was moving or bending over or whatever it was, it didn't hurt. It didn't cut into my gaping tummy that was hanging over my belt so bad. So I had to find different things. So technically I was up to a size 56 because I was in those pants and they were completely maxed out. I literally laid on the bed and I did all the ladies do, and they're real skinny, and they're trying to get in those skinny pants, and they're just pulling it up, sucking their tummy in so they can button it real quick. Well, they're not comfortable. It's like, oh my goodness sakes, what are you doing? Well, the problem is I had to do that just to get into my clothes because I was just too big. And I got to a point to where they had the slide hooks on my dress pants because I wear dress pants to work. I literally would rip those hooks right out of my pants because I was so tight in them that there was no more give. And knowing that, so I mean, that was a size 56, as big as what I am. I never bought anything bigger than a 54, but I was really a 56. And that's what I operated off, because those pants now, unfortunately, they're so expensive, I still wear them, but they're 5 sizes too big. And I know, and I'm starting to get people to say, you know what, you really need to buy some new clothes. And you know what I say? I know I need to buy new clothes. And there's a lot of people that do like to go out and buy clothes. I hate it. I drag my feet. And my friend Rebecca, she constantly reminds me, when are we going to go clothes shopping? When are we going to go clothes shopping? When are we going to go clothes shopping? I said, I don't know. Whenever I figure it out, whenever I get to that point. But I'm at a point to where I'm losing weight. I'm cruising right along. And I don't want to go out and buy clothes because I know as soon as I buy them, I'm going to be out of those, and then those are going to be too big. And I know that's a good problem to have. Don't get me wrong. That's why you're losing weight. But it's like, I don't want to spend the money, but yet I got to spend the money because now I'm getting comments because people are noticing, hey, you've lost a lot of weight. You really need to get some pants that fit. And they're completely right. I'm not arguing with them whatsoever. They're completely right. But that's a nice compliment to get. It's like, you really need to get some better clothes, some smaller clothes. And yes, there's no doubt about it. I have to. And that's one of the goals when I take a break from the series is to buy myself some smaller clothes. And wow, that sounded funny. I've never said that before. Smaller clothes. I've always said, I've got to buy something bigger. I've got to buy something because my big butt isn't holding up. And it's just like, wow, I'm going the other way now. I have to buy smaller clothes. And for some reason, it just hit me as I'm telling you guys. It's kind of, okay, I've never said that before. It's really weird. But those are the accolades. Those are the goals. Those are the milestones you have to remember while you're doing this. So when you get, oh, well, that was Willow. Sorry about that. When you get to that point of, okay, I'm losing weight. I'm cruising right along. Those are the things that you got to take with you to help move on and protect you basically from all the haters that are out there, the ones that are going to make those obnoxious comments to you. And you have to use all your little wins as fuel against them. And don't let them slow you down. Like I said, and I can't tell you enough, you are resilient, you're strong, you're amazing, you're capable, and you are making headway. And like I said, it doesn't matter if you've fallen off the horse 6, 7, or 8 times. The trick is you're always getting back on it and getting moving again. Don't let anybody tell you any different. That's fantastic. Even though you fall off the horse, you're still going forward. You are still doing good. That's what you have to do. And it doesn't matter. Like I said, I probably tried a dozen diets. I said diets before I got to my weight loss journey, before I decided, okay, this is the way I'm going to do it. So no matter what, and I failed at every one of those diets, every one of them. There was one that I did pretty good on where I lost 66 pounds. But the problem is, as soon as I come off it, I gained all of that weight back in like 2 months, and I gained more. Because I went back to my old eating habits, and you can't do that. Once you make this change, you have to stick with it. That's why you can only make the changes that you can live with through all of this. And I can't stress that enough. If you know that, okay, well, I know I can't lose 10 pounds a week, you have to admit that. I mean, losing 10 pounds a week is not healthy, and it'll put you in the hospital, let's be honest. Remember, you're going to lose a pound or 2 a week. This is a marathon. This is not a sprint, guys. You have to plan for the long game. And that's what I keep looking at. And people said, well, how long did you give yourself when you started your journey? I gave myself 2 years to get where I wanted to be. I'm not going to make it. And that's one of the goals that I didn't make. But I set the goal, but it did not deter me. I have now stretched it out to 2.5. But if I want to be honest with myself, it'll probably be 3 years before I get to where I want to be. But even if you figure 3 years, I'm well over halfway home to getting to where I want to be. And I'm not letting it bother me that I have to adjust my goals to get there, because this is something I have to do for the rest of my life. So whether it takes 2 years or 3 years, I'm still going to get to my goal. It's just going to take a little bit longer. And I'm fine with it, because I know I'm still losing weight, and I'm getting the comments of, Sean, you need to buy some smaller clothes. So that tells me I'm going in the right direction. And I can do things that I couldn't do before. I can sit in chairs that I couldn't sit before. And I know you probably think, and I've said this 3 or 4 times, you're probably thinking, Sean, whoop-de-doo, you can sit in a chair. When you're fat like me, and you see those stupid little office chairs that are sitting in front of the desk, and everybody says, here, have a seat, and you just know that your butt is not going to fit in that chair, and they give you that look of, would you sit down? And you have to sit, and you hurt so bad, and you are so uncomfortable in that chair, that now I can sit in that chair and I'm comfortable and it does not hurt anymore. To me, that is a cataclysmic win. That is a huge thing. I could tell you, I haven't done cartwheels since I was 7. I could have done a cartwheel. I'm 49. I could have done a cartwheel after sitting in that chair, and I sat there for 20 minutes and it didn't hurt. And I didn't pop out of it when I had to force myself to get out of it because my butt was trying to get around all the steel handles. And to me, that's a huge win. And those are the things that I use when somebody makes a rude and obnoxious comment about my weight. I use those things to say, you know what? This is how far I come. So instead of dogging on me, why don't you ask me how far I've come? Why don't you ask me how much I've accomplished in a short amount of time? Because really, to take off 220 pounds in 22 months, is incredible. That is an incredible amount of weight. I mean, you're basically taking a whole person off of your body frame. I mean, granted, it's a man's, and ladies are a lot smaller. So basically, it's like taking one whole man off of me and saying, okay, well, I've lost all that weight. And why don't you ask me about that instead of putting me down, saying, what, you have no self-control, what, you can't put the fork down? No, instead of dogging on me, why don't you support me once? And be there, be a friend, be a, whatever you want to say, but just be nice and be supportive once. And that's what I'd like to say to these people, but I'm not going to give them I'm not going to let them win, because in some respects I feel like they're winning because I have to try to defend myself. And it's like, take your best shot at me, because I guarantee you, I can put myself down more, and I can be harder on myself than you could ever dream of being. And I don't hide behind my fat anymore. I can honestly say I'm actually starting to get some self-confidence now. It's not, I'm nowhere near where I should be, but I've gained some self-confidence where if somebody looks at me, it's like, okay, whatever. And before, it's like, don't look at me, but if you do look at me, just envision me as this big fat slob, so you're not interested in me and you don't want to be around me. That's how I saw myself, and that's how I wanted them to see me. And like I said, it's taken a long time to get there, and I am gaining some ground. I am not an attractive man. I am not anything to look at. I am not a supermodel, nothing like that. But I'm not interested in being anything like that. I'm not comparing my body to anybody else. What I'm comparing my body to is myself. I have to be able to live with my body. I have to be able to appreciate my body, because I'm in it until the end. So I figured, okay, why not lose the weight? Why not be happier with myself? So when I do look in the mirror, I don't go bleh and throw up all over the place. And that's something you have to learn to appreciate your body. And I know that sounds weird, but you have to be positive about your body. You have to look at the upsides, not the negative side. You have to start switching your mind to positives. You have to switch it around. I got to tell you, when I first started, everything was negative. It took me a while. It took me a few months to turn it around to say, no, I'm being positive. I'm going the right way. I'm proud of how far I come, and I'm proud of where I'm going. And that's exactly what you have to tell yourself. You have to accept yourself and stop hiding. That's really what it comes down to, is be happy with yourself. You're always going to get those comments. I mean, let's be honest. Look at all the skinny people out there. This goes back to body shaming. Look at all the skinny people that take all kinds of hits out there. Look at all the, the celebrities. I mean, I'm not trying to compare myself to celebrities, but look how when they come out with a different dress or different shoes, or they try a different lipstick or a different hairstyle, how the public will tear them down. And it's like, really? They're just trying something different. They're being unique. They're them. They're, you know, and that's who I am. And if you don't, I basically gotten to a point, if you don't like me, then don't be around me. Just don't make the comments about me, because it doesn't do any good. My self-worth is already low enough, and I'm doing everything I can to bring it up, because I'm worth being around somebody. I finally realize I'm worth somebody's time, and someone, you know, I want to share my life with somebody, and I'm not hiding behind my fat anymore to do it. And I want to be with somebody. And we only get one run at this life. It's a short life, whether you care to admit it or not. It's a very short life. And so I just stopped hiding. I'm done. I've accepted who I am. I'm not where I want to be yet, and I'm not how I'm looking the way I want to be yet. But I have come a long, long ways where when I look in the mirror now, I don't feel like throwing up anymore. I've come that far. And that's a huge step forward for me. And that's exactly what I want you guys to understand, is accept yourself and don't hide behind the fat anymore. That's what I did, and it didn't get you anywhere, but just depressed and even more overweight. You are incredible. You are a beautiful person. You are warm. You are caring. I can't stress that enough. And don't let anybody else tell you any different. You're worth being on this planet. You're worth being around, and there's people that want you around. So just be happy with yourself and accept yourself, and things will get better. The more positives you can tell yourself is going to help you. Not to become a narcissist, because we all know what they are, but you can still be proud of yourself and build yourself up and be positive about yourself. That's just, you know, just be kind to yourself. Cut yourself a break. You're going through a lot of changes. You're doing a lot of different things, but you're doing it all for the right reasons. And I'm proud of you. You're amazing. I mean, you're incredible. And I'm hoping someday that I will be able to get to meet so many of you. And, you know, I don't know how, and I don't know where. I have not the faintest idea. But it would be so cool to meet you guys and see how far you've come and what you've accomplished. And we can swap stories about how we got to the finish line. Because I'm going to get there someday. There's no doubt in my mind. And I know you're going to get there someday. You're going to be so amazing. You're going to be down to the weight. I'm not saying skinny. Nobody says you have to be skinny. Just get down to the weight where you're comfortable with. And if it's a few extra pounds that you got on you, whoopee-doo. You have to be happy with you. You have to accept you. And when you can do that, it's amazing what you can get through and what you can handle in life. Honest to God. As soon as you accept yourself for who you are, it's amazing how much further you go. Taking responsibility for what you eat, your exercising, your overall health, taking your vitamins, doing everything the right way. It's amazing when you start doing all of that stuff, how fast this will turn around. And then don't body shame anybody else. Don't fat shame anybody else. You know, do whatever you can to support them, because that's what I love doing. Is I love helping you guys. I love being your cheerleader. I want to be there to support you, and that's what I do. Everything I can. That's why I do this podcast, is because I want to be there to help you, and I want to see you cross that finish line, because I'll be crossing the finish line with you. And we can high five, and we can celebrate, and we can laugh, and it'll be so awesome. And just because you fall off the horse, just get back on and keep rocking and rolling. Don't let that deter you. It's not an all or nothing thing. We all have days where we eat too much, or have too many calories, or one too many carbs, or one too many cookies. Just get back on track the next day and keep right on rocking and rolling. Don't beat yourself up over it. You can't do it that often, but we all have those days where you just, oops, okay, fell off the horse, and you keep right on and moving. I'm 22 months in. I'm over 220 pounds down, guys. I still have days once in a while. It's rare, but I do have days where I fall off the horse and I have too many either carbs or calories. I'm really good about it, but once in a while it just happens. So don't be too hard on yourself. And remember, this is a marathon, guys, not a sprint. You have to play the long game. That's just what it is. And my friend Chris says it so perfectly. Fall in love with the grind. I absolutely love it. When he told me that and he was on the show, I live by that anymore. Fall in love with the grind. And even though he's talking about bodybuilding and weightlifting, it's the same way with losing weight and sticking to your plan. Fall in love with the grind, because once you start doing it, and then it just gets easier and easier and easier, and you'd be surprised on how far you get. And the more positive you can be, the further you're going to be able to get, because you're going to be able to ignore those haters out there, and you're going to basically find that their comments are just going to bounce off you like a deflector shield, and it's not going to bother you. Trust me, you do get to that point, because that's where I'm at now, and I'm proud of where I'm at, and I'm proud of how far I've come, and I'm proud of each and every one of you out there for what you're doing. You guys are amazing. I can't stress that enough. So okay, I'm going to close out the final podcast of this season 1. I'll be going into season 2, like I said, next year. I'll be back and I'll be talking to you. If you have any comments or questions, remember you can email me at SeanGMorris@gmail.com. I want to hear from you, and I'm hoping maybe next summer I'll start posting pictures of myself so you can see how far I've come, and hopefully that'll help, a little bit, maybe motivate you. I don't know, but I'm just trying to do everything I can. All the energy I literally have in my body is coming through this microphone, through your speakers or your headset or your earbuds, whatever it is. Just imagine all this energy coming out of me, going into you and supporting you and letting you know that you got this. I believe in you, so you can believe in yourself every day. Positive thoughts will help you get through the day. Don't worry, stop with the negative self-talk, and don't let those haters out there get to you, because the more positivity you have, the easier this is going to be, and you're going to go further. You got this. I believe in you. Never doubt that. So, to end this podcast, as I always do, this is going to be the final dad joke of the season. So, at the end of season 1 here's the dad joke of the day. Do you know why the nurse needed a red pen? In case she needed to draw blood. I wanted to end on a good one, so hopefully you love that one. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, support, share, tell everybody that you can think of about my podcast. I'm trying to help everybody out that I can. And as always, all my love and support